Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled PSA-Ron DeSantis. And of course I'm talking about the fake governor of Florida, which is a fake state within the 50 fake states of the United States, which is fake. Because if you've been watching my channel, you know we live under maritime law, we live in a bank colonial system that operates using banking districts. You know, like the Hunger Games districts. Are you from District 6? Are you from District 12? Because there are no independent democratic republic states. There's no such thing as states' rights because there's no such thing as human rights. There's no such thing as state rights. There are only the College of Corporations and the banking system, which operates independently of any so-called sovereign nation status or fake government facade. This was all explained in 1939 with Judy Garland playing Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz, where her little dog Toto pulled back the curtain to reveal the way the world really works. After she followed the yellow brick road and she got to the mighty Wizard of Oz, and the palace was closed and the guards told them to come back tomorrow. They finally gained entrance into the wizardry, and the little dog Toto pulled the curtain back, and we realized that there was no great and powerful Oz. There was just a little old man on a stepladder pulling the levers. That's it. That's your banking. So I'm going to do a PSA, public service announcement, which, in case you didn't know, is an unpaid, without fee, without charge. I'm going to disseminate a message that serves the public interest, all right, to raise public awareness and perhaps change public behavior based on this truth information about fake Governor Ronald DeSantis, fake governor of Florida. So, where do we start? Well, let's just start with the fact that he's 44 years old, okay, and he was born in Florida, and he was born on September 14th, 1978, makes him just now 44 years old. He's married to Casey Black, and they have 3 children, and supposedly he spends time in the governor's mansion where they make their home. You should know that Ron DeSantis' father installed surveillance devices on television as part of the Nielsen rating system. Ron DeSantis was born in Jacksonville, Florida, the son of Ronald Daniel DeSantis. Ron DeSantis' middle name is Dion, which is supposed to be named after Dion DiMucci, an Italian singer. Anyway, what I want to tell you is Ron DeSantis is an Italian American, and his great grandparents were born in southern Italy, not the northern Italy of Milan and the financial center. Anyway, what I want to tell you is Ron DeSantis attended Catholic school, parochial school, and he then went on to study at Yale University, where he was the captain of the Yale varsity baseball team. He joined the Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity. He played outfield for the team for Yale. You know Yale? He's a Yale man. After Yale, he taught history and he coached, I'm assuming he coached baseball, at the Darlington School in Georgia. He then went on to Harvard Law School, which I don't know what they do there because we're under maritime law. There's really not much to discuss. When everything is in a military court-martial setting, there are no constitutional rights, there are no human or civil rights in action in a military courtroom. And if you don't believe me, just go to any courthouse in America and you will observe that no one ever has their day in court. No one ever gets to call witnesses and present evidence. Only the prosecution does that. Only the tribunal of authority does that. Everybody ends up signing a plea agreement. That's the system. A plea agreement system is not a legitimate legal system. It's an illegitimate system. That's the system we have. It's called military law, maritime law, admiralty law. It's the law of the sea. The captain's in charge. The captain is the judge, or whoever puppet master controls the judge, and they're in charge, and you're guilty, okay? Unless you know somebody, unless you're plugged into the network, you're going to sign a plea agreement where the court will find you guilty. Anyway, after he taught at the Darlington School, he attended Yale University. And while he was attending Yale University, which he graduated from in 2005 with a Juris Doctorate degree, he then went on to military service in the United States Navy. Now, he did that through, I believe, he was commissioned as an officer as part of the Judge Advocacy General Corps JAG program. He enrolled in that whilst he was at Harvard University in 2004. He completed his Naval Justice School in 2005, and then later that year, upon graduating from Harvard, he reported for service as part of the JAG Trial Service Officer Command of Southeast at the Naval Station of Mayport, Florida. As a prosecutor, he was promoted from lieutenant to junior grade to a full lieutenant in 2006. It was in 2006 in the spring that he was then assigned to Joint Task Force Guantanamo Bay Detention Center, Cuba, which has been under Navy and United States Marine control since before 1898. Cuba has always been under military control, always, which leads you to believe that the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Bay of Pigs invasion and the replacement of General Batista with Fidel Castro were just social engineering staged events, part of a bank anthropology program. They were not legitimate incidents. They were staged. Okay? Anyway, whilst Ron DeSantis was at Guantanamo Bay, he masqueraded, and I think that is the proper term, as a judge advocate defense lawyer on behalf of the detainees who are illegally kept for years in detention without being arraigned or convicted of any crimes. They're just kept in cages or detention closets. And there he supposedly represented the detainees' Geneva Convention rights. But since there are no Geneva Convention rights under maritime law, I find this whole thing highly creepy and perverted. So essentially, Ron DeSantis is gaining the trust of the detainees, and he's acting as a surveillance agent. You should know that Ron DeSantis worked very closely with the biscuit teams in Guantanamo Bay, and there's no denying that. There is no denying that at all. The biscuit teams are CIA contractors who are comprised of a team of intelligence agents with psychiatric background. They're either medical doctor, psychiatrist, or they're psychologists, and they're medical doctors. And they the biscuit team is a CIA acronym, BSCT, and it refers to biscuits. These are groups of psychiatrists, medical doctors, and psychologists who study the detainees that are under incarceration. It stands for Behavioral Science Consultation Team. Behavioral Science Consultation Team is a CIA biscuit team. Make no mistakes about it, it's CIA. Biscuit is CIA. And Ron DeSantis is working right shoulder to shoulder with the CIA contracted psychiatrists, medical doctors, and psychologists who are overseeing and surveilling the detainees. We've had a number of detainees accusing Ron DeSantis as participating in their torture. It's known as enhanced interrogation, force feedings, enemas, being locked into the sedentary position, subjected to sleep deprivation, terrible music sounds, high temperature, low temperatures, and that Ron DeSantis would be very familiar with these. The point of the biscuit teams, the behavioral science consultation team, is to make sure that the detainees don't die from their torture, that they're tortured but they don't die. It's to keep them alive so you can torture them some more. There are virtually no medical ethics in play at Guantanamo Bay. This show gets moved over to Fallujah in Iraq, where Ron DeSantis is reassigned to the Euphrates River and the Fallujah detention center, where I'm sure he repeats many of the activities that he learned in Cuba at Guantanamo Bay Detention Center. Anyway, I just wanted you to know, during 2015, which I believe Ron DeSantis was a fake congressman at that time, his sister, he has a younger sister, Christina Marie DeSantis. She's 9 years younger, and she was murdered, done away with, on May 12th, 2015 in London, England, merry old London, England. Christina Marie DeSantis, who's engaged to be married to Stephen Paziewicz, who's a 6-year veteran banker of private bank Coutts Bank, Coutts. I'll post a link. It's the 8th oldest bank in the world, Coutts Bank. And Christina DeSantis was set to marry an elite banker. But she died of a blood clot, had a stroke, was sent to the hospital, whereupon she died. And this was in 2015. So, not that long ago, 8 years ago, we had Christina Marie DeSantis, it appears, murdered at age 30. She's 30 years old. Anyway, Ron DeSantis went on to become the fake governor of Florida. I could call him that because we have a fake governor in California called Gavin Newsom. He's a fake governor. It means they have no authority. They say a lot of things. Things come out of their pie hole, but they can't follow up on that. Ron DeSantis was recently on television talking about no transgender education for children in elementary school. But what he forgot to mention is it's okay for second, third, fourth, fifth graders, but he's going to prohibit it for kindergarten and first graders, if I have that right. In other words, Ron DeSantis is okay with transgender education in elementary school, despite the fact that he says he's opposed to it. He also is signing some kind of a worthless bill to prohibit central bank digital currency in Florida. The problem with that is Florida has no authority to deny that. The United States of America doesn't have the authority to deny that. Our money system, our digital money system, is an independently owned entity. And the United States of America is completely dependent on the banks, and they will do exactly what the bankers tell them to do because only the banks have the authority, the power, and can control the military and the CIA. Only the banks can do that. Sleepy Joe Biden can't do that. Cackling cacophony of chaos, Kamala Harris, she can't do it. Former sugar daddy Willie Brown can't do it. Gavin Newsom can't do it, and neither can Ronnie DeSantis, who apparently just flew over to Israel to sign some documents over there, which pretty much tells you who's in control of Ronnie DeSantis. All right, so his sister was murdered. His father installed surveillance devices known as Nielsen boxes on televisions, and he went to Yale and Harvard, and he's Office of Navy Intelligence, which is military intelligence, and he was involved with prisoner dilemma game at both Guantanamo Bay Detention Center and in Fallujah, Iraq, and he's going to run for president. So I think it's a public service for me to advise you that he is going to be a fake president. In other words, it doesn't serve any purpose to vote for him. I would strongly recommend you don't vote for anyone for president. Right now we have a guy who has senile dementia and wears diapers. Now that's the kind of president that we should have because he has no authority, he's not in charge, and it's very obvious that he's not in charge. And the cackling cacophony of chaos vice president, she's not in charge. So, I mean, that's befitting of a country that doesn't exist, don't you think? Don't be putting a loudmouth Yale, Harvard Law, Office of Judge Advocacy in there to lie to you. Accept the lies that are come from senile dementia people, right? That's the point of today's public service advisory. Thanks for listening. Please hit the like and subscribe. I am shadow banned. Take care.